Thank you for the introduction. Today I'll be presenting a brief overview of our work on why people share some advertisements more than others, in which we quantify facial expressions to gain new insights about when media content, especially video ads, are shared. This work was conducted with Jonah Berger from the Wharton School and was also done in collaboration with Affectiva. Word of mouth and social sharing of content is attractive for advertisers, as it's essentially free. More consumers sharing an advertisement or message means greater impact at lower costs. But why does some content go viral, getting millions of people sharing it, whereas other content barely gets shared at all? Prior work has found that people tend to share news content that has more emotional language and is more interesting, and consumption experiences that are more positive. However, if emotions play a role, are there circumstances in which negative emotions can also increase sharing? And how can we measure emotions in a scalable way to find out? In order to investigate this, we conducted a large online research study in which we recruited participants from the general population to watch TV advertisements. At the same time, with their permission, we analyzed their facial responses using their webcam. Following the advertisements, we collected self-report measures of likelihood to share the video on social media or with connections such as family and friends. We recorded responses from over 2,000 participants who each watched a set of 10 ads selected from a pool of 230. The ads were from familiar brands such as Mars, Snickers, Pedigree, Caesar, and product categories including instant foods, confectionery, pet care, and beauty products. This gives us a large data set of over 20,000 video responses to ads that we can analyze in order to investigate the link between people's expressive responses and their likelihood to share. Changes in people's internal state are often accompanied by external expressions. One way to quantify these is using the facial action coding system. This allows us to capture muscle activations that make up expressions as people watch these video ads, and to do so with high temporal resolution. However, automatically detecting spontaneous facial actions in everyday settings from a webcam is quite challenging. Therefore, in order to accomplish this work, we designed custom facial action detection algorithms, focusing on 5 of the most commonly occurring, informative, and reliably detected facial actions. These were smiles, eyebrow raises, eyebrow furrows, lip corner depressors, and nose wrinkles. We carefully optimized and validated the accuracy of these classifiers in order to ensure that they had very low false positive rates in order to give us precise measurements of when these actions occurred. Furthermore, we did this validation across a diverse population, including people with different skin tones, men and women, and people in different contexts, such as different lighting conditions and different settings, backgrounds, and rooms. Here's a short video demo showing the resulting classification of a viewer's facial actions from a video. The numbers reflect the confidence that the facial action is present, 100 being highly confident the action is present, and 0 being highly confident the action is not present. Given the scale of the video response dataset we collected, with over 20,000 videos of viewers watching advertisements, automated coding was the only practical option for quantifying these responses. So what did we observe? First, smiling, an expression linked with positive emotion, increased sharing likelihood, and with the largest effect. However, not all expressions linked with negative emotions decrease sharing. Some did, and some didn't. For example, expressions more commonly linked with disgust or dislike were significantly linked with increased sharing, whereas expressions commonly linked with confusion or sadness were significantly linked with decreased sharing. As such, it appears that sharing is driven by more than emotional valence. The two emotional expressions linked with increased sharing likelihood are also associated with higher arousal compared to those that were linked with lower sharing likelihood. This suggests that emotional arousal plays an important role in sharing likelihood. Furthermore, we observed that results for liking of ads, the relationship between people's emotional expressions and whether they reported liking the ads, were different from those that we observed between expressions and the sharing likelihood. For liking, there was a clear polarization. Positive valence expressions were linked with increased liking, and negative valence expressions were linked with decreased liking. In addition, we observed that some of these effects increase with strength over the duration of the ads, i.e., smiling at the end of an ad had a stronger effect on sharing likelihood than at the beginning. These results are consistent with work on recency or end effects in emotional experiences and Daniel Kahneman's theories. More results can be found in our paper and a greater discussion of some of these additional experiments. So to summarize, not all emotions increase the likelihood for people to share video ads. The relationship is more complex than valence alone. Rather, arousal seems to drive the relationship, with high arousal emotions increasing sharing, even if they're negative, and low arousal emotions decreasing it. Analyzing facial expressions provides an insightful and scalable method to understand consumer behavior. The exact magnitudes of the effects we observed varied by country, suggesting that there might be cultural variations in these effects. This is another argument for the use of scalable methods for quantifying behavior, as we can ultimately build more geographically or culturally specific models. In this work, we analyzed data from participants in Europe, in the UK, Germany, France, in the US, and in China. But it would be interesting to investigate behaviors in other parts of the world in order to see if these results are consistent across every corner of the globe. As with many methods, there are also limitations to our work. When tying specific facial movements to emotions, we need to be careful. The link is not always simple. For example, both envy and disgust can be associated with nose wrinkles. Therefore, it's often difficult to be entirely precise about the meaning of particular facial actions. That's why in this work, we focused on the associations with valence and arousal primarily, ahead of trying to tie these actions with specific emotional states or categories. When applying these tools, researchers and practitioners should be careful to understand what different facial movements indicate. Another question is how these results translate into sales. As is often the case in research on word of mouth, the outcome measure in this study was sharing intentions. But one could wonder whether this actually links to sharing and ultimately to sales of products. Just because someone shares an advertisement does not always lead to them buying that product or increase sales. That said, word of mouth intentions are a reasonably good proxy for actual sharing, and more word of mouth tends to increase sales. Future work might further test these relationships, and we hope that this work will drive further adoption to understand quantitatively people's expressive or emotional responses to video content. Thank you.